So I walked away from a 20-year career in IT, like a C-level IT career that I spent my whole life building, killed it to go all in on real estate.
This is a story about a dude named Lane. And then one day he went and tried to rent them out, and then he became one of the best of man.
Hey, SimplePassive Cahsflow listeners. Today I got Agostino Pintus, one of my partners of mine, and we are going to get to know him a little bit better. How's it going?
Oh man, I'm awesome. Psyched up to be here. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Hit that subscribe pillow and mash that button, hit the bell, right?
You know what? I should get the bell up here. That's what I should do.
Yeah, so a lot of you guys don't know what you're talking about. We do this on YouTube and we throw it up on there. So pretty much all my content today is found on the podcast. It's also found on YouTube. I'd say more stuff on YouTube these days. But yeah, let's get to know you a little bit better. Agostino, how much SimplePassive Cahsflow are you making today and how are you doing that?
You know, right now, everything's invested in real estate. So I just do multifamily real estate currently. I'm all in on multifamily. So to that end, everything that we get, everything that pretty much passively comes in is usually poured directly back into the business, right? So whether it be in terms of earnest money, whether it be in terms of just putting, eating my own dog food, so to speak, put it into the deal itself. So really, I mean, aside from a couple $100,000, that's pretty much it. And after all that, I pour everything right back into the business. So it's right now we're in growth mode, and that's all I'm focused on at this point.
I mean, I had Mike Michalowicz on the podcast recently. He wrote the book Profit First, and
yeah.
I was telling him, it's like, yeah, I mean, we don't really take a profit. We just put it right back in equity and the deals, and hopefully the magic happens.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the thing is though, is that we've done a lot of deals. I know that we're doing right now. We're really, really good at picking the right deals, and we're very, very careful with how we underwrite and how we get in on it. So I would say that it's less about hope and more about we know what we're doing. At least I like to think we do anyway.
At what point did you kind of come to this more abundance mindset side where you felt like you had enough money to put food on the table and you didn't have to worry about paying the bills with a salary?
Yeah, man, well, part of it is that with my journey, the way I did it was I used to have the corporate America job. I used to be a CIO, a chief information officer, publicly traded companies. I did all that. And it wasn't until, and I was also doing single family too at the time, right? I was doing single family, small multifamily for 16 years. But I would say about going on 4 years ago, decided, you know what? Multifamily is where it is. A friend of mine told me about multifamily and this is what I need to be doing. So when I decided to transition from this single family, small multifamily to doing big multifamily, that's when that's what the spark went off, is that I decided that's what I'm going to be doing. And I gave myself a timeline. I gave myself basically a goal to say that on this day, I'm going to take on my last consulting gig. I'm going to focus on just building up the business while working at a regular consulting gig, and packed up everything, moved to Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm at right now, and really got to work on working as a consultant and building this multifamily real estate business. And true to form, just like I set out in my goals that I write every day religiously, I set up my goals to really define how I'm going to live my life that far off. That's what I do. But I decided that within I think it was a 12-month period from making that decision, I hustled, man. I hustled hard. That's what it took to get there.
People always like to kind of understand, where were you in that situation where you finally made it? Say I was going to go from single family to multifamily, and more as an operator than as a passive investor. But like, how long were you doing the single family homes? How big was your portfolio at that point till you decided? Yeah. And then how did the day job overlay on top of this? Were you kind of still working the day job while doing the multifamily? Kind of explain the timelines. How they
Sure. I actually started single family, 16 years ago, maybe a little longer, when I was working at a company in Virginia. and I was a CIO. I was making great money. And the reason why I got into multifamily or single family at the time, a small multifamily, was just to be a backup in case something happened with my job. That's the only reason why I did it. You know, it wasn't about building legacy wealth. It wasn't about trying to build something big. It's all about, in case something happens, I'm going to have some extra income, right? So I started focusing on single family, small multifamily, and really try to build that portfolio up. I think by the time I finished up, by the time I left Virginia, that, you know, about 4 years in when I started all that, I might have had like small portfolio, like under 100 units. Like it would fluctuate between 80 to 100, and you know, nothing crazy. But then it was, I pretty much kept it pretty flat for many years. Just had some things going on in my life at that point, and you know, especially with 2008, backed away from all that. But I would say that the last job that I had brought me back to Virginia. I started selling off all my assets, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was a real estate attorney. This is, again, going on about 4 years ago. He says, I said to him, I go, hey, who buys these big properties? How's it done? And he explained multifamily syndication to me. So once I understood how it works and what it takes to really put a deal together, I'm like, oh, I could do that. I work in corporate America. I'm not afraid of the numbers. I'm not afraid to do the hard work. So that's exactly what I did. I just put myself, I just got committed to studying every single thing I could find on multifamily syndication, syndicating deals overall, and got myself in front of some great mentors, got myself in front of some great people that helped me build the business. And that's really what it took. You know, it's, I'm not going to say by any stretch it was easy. But you know what? It was totally worth it, 100% worth it. You know, now I'm all in on this real estate. I'm all in on it, 100% on it.
At what point did you quit the day job in there? Was that
so that was
that?
Yeah, so that was I quit the consulting gig, the one I mentioned earlier. God, it's been 3 years. You know, 3 years ago. And you know, I'll tell you what, Lane. I'm not going to say it's all sunshine and rainbows every single day of my life these days. You know, hey, there's everyone's got a bad day. Sometimes we face some pretty bad stuff, but there's not a single day I would never even think about going back to that. I just don't even think about it. You know, I'm very pleased with how we're growing the business. I'm very pleased to partner up, especially with people like you, to really build something that's really cool. You know, and we've got some cool stuff in the pipeline here that is just awesome. And you only get to do that and build those opportunities when you really commit yourself wholeheartedly to a project. It's the only way to get it done.
So a lot of the guys listening, they're still in their day jobs, or maybe they're even haven't started investing yet. If you can kind of go back to your single family home days, we call this the Han Solo moment. It's like, you know, in Star Wars, Han Solo and his buddy Chewbacca were just low-life smugglers, and then they found who can lay you know, it could be the right people or the right idea, and then their life took that pivot point. For you, what was that pivot point, or if there's some kind of story from your corporate days that you can be like, that was the moment that changed my path?
Well, you know what it was? It happened a couple of times, but it didn't. It's funny how it didn't click, you know, until the second time. Really, the first time when I was working as a CIO, as a young, you know, 30 something year old guy working at this publicly traded company, running global technology in my early 30s is ridiculous, right? It's crazy. Managing these multi-million-dollar budgets, and I, you know, like I said, I'd started doing the single family thing, and when the company decided that they were going to make a change, even though the company was doing great, I was performing very well. My team was doing great. We were keeping as IT, so we kept all the systems up and running. We were innovating. The company decided we're going to make a change. So they come up to you and they say, pack up your stuff, get lost, you're done. Now, I had focused everything. I put my whole heart and soul into that company. Right? Like any good C-level executive, or any executive for that matter, pretty much anybody listening should be doing. If you're working for a company, you're going all in on that company. It's what you're doing, right? But what I did not do, to my own detriment, was really focused on building that passive income on my own, for my own self and for my family. That's where I did not do that correctly. You know, I should not have relied on these outside forces to really take care of me and my family like I did. You know, that's what killed me right there. You know, and allowing that to happen, not once but twice. The second time though was the time I'm like, I'm not going to do this ever again. I'm never doing this again. I'm not going to put myself into a predicament like this. And that's why I decided that real estate was it. Because despite all the problems I had over the 16 years that I've been doing this, from going to job to job to job, trying to hold my head above water with these different companies, that real estate kept on throwing off money every month, every quarter, every year. I'm not going to say that it was always like, $100,000 a year coming in from real estate. I'm not saying that. It was just passive income. But that's one thing is for certain, is that money came in, and that's the thing I realized. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing the corporate thing anymore. I mean, I might do one last gig. I'm going to do a consulting gig, and I'm just going to go all in on real estate. So I walked away from a 20-year career in IT, like a C-level IT career that I spent my whole life building, killed it to go all in on real estate. So, I mean, take some courage to do something like that.
So the first time they told you to get lost,
yeah,
or they told you to pack up, you didn't have anything in your portfolio at that time then?
I had like some single families and some small multifamily. That's
Okay.
it.
Well, at least you had the kind of the proof of concept at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, because even though, and that's the thing though, it's like they riffed me. I'm at home with this giant house, with a giant mortgage, and this car payments, and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do now? I mean, fortunately, I still had some money coming in, to support me. But that's the power of the passive income, is that money kept on coming in, right, and kept me above water, thankfully. Because if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't discovered the power of real estate, man, it'd be a different life story I'd be telling you today. I'll tell you that.
So at that time, how did your portfolio take the next step in the next like month or two after? Well, anything changed like after that fire got lit under your butt?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though too. Unlike some other people you might have had on your show, for me, it was I didn't add anything new, right? Because at that point in my life, my mindset was not set properly, right? I was still thinking like an employee, right? I was still thinking like an employee. Again, nothing wrong with thinking like an employee, but other than the fact that, oh my God, I need to get a job. I got to get a job like right now. I got to send out resumes right now. Hurry. So even though I was an entrepreneur, I've been as a kid, that's all I ever wanted to be, was an entrepreneur. I put that aside so I could be an employee, right? So I think that the fire didn't happen until later, until more recently, when I decided that after getting fired from yet another job, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. That really kicked off me doing this thing wholeheartedly, 100% all in. So I think that early on, I don't think I was ready. It was one of those things that I'm sure you might have heard. I think it's an old proverb. It says something like, when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. And I think at that point, I wasn't ready to be taught. I wasn't ready. I was still in the mindset of an employee. I wasn't doing self-improvement. I wasn't reading books the way I'm reading books today. I wasn't doing any of these things that any successful entrepreneur should be doing, to really be successful. I wasn't doing that, to my own detriment. I needed to be doing that stuff. I do it today, but, it's one of those things I just wasn't doing before,
So let's kind of talk about this this topic of, where do you go, LP or GP? You've got a few rental properties, you've got some experience under your belt, but you start to realize that after having 5, 8, 10 single family homes, just not scalable. It's not going to get a substantial passive cash flow coming in every month. You're obviously a success story, but I'm sure, like myself, you've seen a whole bunch of guys fail at this. Any comments on like the percentage of people that try to take the next step, and what is it, if you can talk about, like, people are trying to make this decision on their own in their head, right?
Yeah.
As they work their 100 200K job on the side too, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Lane. I mean, for many people, there's guys out there on the internet. They're putting up these courses. Hey, $4,000. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Do it. Sign up now. Man, I tell you. I mean, hey, listen. We have a program. Happy to sell it. However, what you don't see is the amount of work that goes into finding and putting together a deal. That's it's an obscene amount of work, and we might go through at least 100 deals before you find one, right? One that actually pencils out and shows a glimmer of hope that it could be something that you could invest in and get a nice return to hit the targets that we establish, right? Not including all the relationships you have to build with the brokers. That in itself is a full-time job. Calling on brokers. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Got any deals for me? Hey, buddy, how you doing? Continuously making phone calls, talking to brokers. That's how we find our deals anyway. We get our deals primarily through broker relationships, right? Then, of course, vendor relationships, right? And maintaining those relationships, maintaining relationships with our lenders as well, and the lender brokers too. I mean, I've already talked to my lender broker 4 times this morning on a variety of different deals. We're refinancing 3 deals right now, So it's like all that, everything I just mentioned is a full-time job. So as an executive, as a C-level executive, or hell, any executive for that matter, even if I'm working at a company as a developer, I don't know how I would do that and also try to do what I'm doing today. It'd be extraordinarily hard. That's kind of the reason why what I would do anyway, if I were in that predicament, is just partner up with a good, solid operator that knows what they're doing. They have a great team, and they know how to underwrite deals. They know that the deal they're putting together, they know the reasons why it's a great deal, and go all in on that. I mean, in reality, they get equity in the deal. They get a return. They get all the tax benefits. It's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig at all for an LP.
You probably see a whole bunch of these guys, just like how I do, like the dreamers. And yeah. I just want to highlight what you said there. Like, obviously you have to work hard, and everybody knows that. And these guys will like, yeah, but I'm special. I work really hard. I'm like, all right, dude, you don't even have a college degree. Like, I mean, not saying that that's important, but that's why I like working. One of my criteria is that you are a professional, right? Yeah. And not saying that college is worth anything. I'm actually kind of against the whole traditional educational system, but it shows a level of commitment that, most people come into this. What's that that movie with the flying dog? Never Ending Story or something like that? Like, he goes to like the thing and it zaps him with the lasers. Like, you're not worthy. Yeah, a lot of people are just gonna get zapped with the lasers. And yeah, I think what you said there, like, you have to work your butt off, but you also have to like have these special skills of like navigating key relationships with brokers, lenders, etc., partners.
Oh man,
that's what these hard workers cannot do.
They can't do it, man. I mean, listen, I don't want to sound like, I get down on people that don't have the work, but I mean, yeah, I meet them. I meet them at different events, and they say they want to become a syndicator, and they don't dress the part. They don't act the part. They don't say the right words. They can't spell NOI. They don't. And I'm not saying that it's, this is, how should I say, it's exclusive little club or anything else like that. It requires a great deal of effort. That's all I'm saying. It's like, it's very hard to convey over a podcast, or it's just difficult to convey that way. But
dude, I stopped I stopped going to real estate conferences because I find the guys who listen to like thousands of hours of podcasts, and they tell me things I don't know about this weird calculation of some NOI thing, or I'm like, oh, all right, man. Like, the academics.
Yeah.
I know all about that, Agostino, like, let me tell you. I'm like, oh, okay. How many deals? have you done, but then you ask your buddy and you're like, yeah, that guy hasn't done jack,
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
And they dress the part too, right?
There was one of my students, he actually went to a seminar, and the headliner at the seminar actually said to a group of 200 people, fake it until you make it. And I'm like, oh my God, no, man. Listen, guys like us, we have a fiduciary responsibility, right? That is key. We have a responsibility to our investors. We have a responsibility to our families. We have a responsibility to the people that invest with us as well, personally, like friends and family, aside from other investors too. And to everyone else that is relying on that project's success, right? There's no time for fake it until you make it, right? When you're messing with other people's livelihoods, there is no faking. My opinion. That's just what I think. It's like I would never ever say that, and I would never recommend to someone fake it until you make it. It's more like study, learn, understand how to put this deal together, partner up with someone that knows what they're talking about, work with them, get to know them. I mean, it's a long, long, long journey. This was not something, in my case anyway, that happened overnight. It took me 16 years, right? It took me 16 years to become an overnight success. Right. That's how it is in this business, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and then also, like, you can't do this while you're working a full-time job.
No,
like,
you can't.
Maybe pick up your first small apartment building, but
yeah.
It ain't gonna work. It's just not possible.
I mean, it might be possible to get, like, say, a 30 unit, hand it over to third-party management, and they'll probably steal from you, is what they'll do, more than likely. And what I mean by that is that because you're focused on your job, like you should be, it's going to be very difficult to also watch all the expenses on this third party and what they're doing, right? And how do you negotiate that contract too, by the way, right? If you're doing 30 units, you're starting off 30 units, that means you're paying 10%. We're not paying anywhere near 10%, right? For the management of our assets. But what they'll do is they'll cut you a break. You know what? Just for you, Lane, I'll do it for you for $5. And you're like, wow, cool, okay. But then they start fluffing it in with all this extra stuff. We took a trip, replaced the door lock, painted a room. It didn't need to be painted. And they'll find ways to get their money out of you, right? And having those relationships, like I said earlier, it's like that's another vendor relationship. You got to keep a close eye on what money gets spent, right? What money gets spent on what assets. And you notice, for instance, we do this all the time in our office. 2 assets side by side, 2 different locations. How much are we spending on a unit turn over here versus over here? Why is this one less than this one? What's going on? Let's have a call. Let's figure it out, right? 2 different vendors too. Maybe they take this vendor and put them over here, right, as well, right? Different things like that. It takes time to run those analysis and know-how to really figure out how to do that kind of stuff. If you have 30 units, it's very hard to find someone that's going to care. And that's probably the biggest issue, with some of the smaller deals anyway.
Yeah, I've kind of found that you really need to be above 80 or 100 units. I mean, everybody talks about, and see, this is another one of those things, these podcasts, like groupies, the book groupies, they know these rules, like, oh, you need to be over 56 units to get a property manager in the office. But in real life, you need that person and the handyman.
Yeah, for sure. And even 56 units, depending on where it is, I don't know if that's feasible, honestly. It's more like 100, in my opinion, is probably the minimum. But yeah, man, I mean, now, nothing wrong with, say, starting off with 30 units and 2 months later buying another 56 units and 2 months later, if you want to do it that way, I suppose you can do it that way as well. If someone really, really wants to do this on their own. But man, I can't even imagine working on an office job and trying to run that number of units, 3 different properties by yourself. Like keeping it as an asset manager, that's hard, man. That's hard work. It's hard work for what? Like, what is the overall goal? If the goal is to get that passive income, it's difficult to do, man. That's tough work. That's tough work. Yeah.
So we're in this COVID-19 crisis where just another day at the office for folks like you and me. But I know you can't go out as much. What are like a 2-week experiment that you're kind of tinkering on, or a 6-month project you're working on?
I don't have a 6-month one, but I do have a year one. So back in December, I create a book list, right, of all the books I'm going to read for 2020. I created a list. It's on a sheet, and then I have a checkbox, and I check off every single one I've read. So a book a week, basically, right? I got a hold of all the books, put them all on my phone. Right now, I'm reading the autobiography of Albert Einstein, and it's a very interesting guy. But the books are mainly consist of autobiographies for people that overcame some really hard times. You'd be amazed at the hard times that Albert Einstein had as a young scientist, but what it took to overcome something. We'd listen to I listen to a lot of stuff on sales and marketing as well, social media marketing, and also on sales. So it's those things that pretty much make up the book list, right? And much of my real estate stuff is all made up of. I do listen to some real estate, but most of it is just by networking, masterminds, things like that. That's how I engage that through real life problems and resolving them. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, try reading a book a week. That'll change your life. I promise you. That'll change anybody's life. It's good stuff, man. I tell you, it's awesome.
Any kind of like personal, like 2-week project, something, tweaking in the daily routine or something like that.
Trying to work out at home. So far, since all this stuff happened, I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't go to CrossFit, right? Which is what I usually do. So now I'm having this. So far, this is week 2 of this, this COVID-19 thing. So now it's all about working out at home. And I tell you, man, it's tougher to do at home than it is to work out at the gym with a group of other motivated individuals. It's tough, but yeah, we'll make it. I'll get through it.
I do CrossFit too, and then like yesterday, I got bumper plates at home. I got my patio, but I just put in like 135, which is like nothing, and I just deadlifted it like 10 times. I was like, that was boring.
It's easier to do when other people are around, right? That's the thing, It's I don't know what it is. It's kind of like there's other people there, and there's just more energy in the room. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, total accountability. Yeah. I was thinking about getting the mirror or the bike thing, the Peloton or Echelon. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, the Peloton.
Yeah, but they told me that the bike, there's so many orders for the bike that it's not going to be here till like May or June.
Right. By then, this thing should be over. By then, I would expect. Jeez. I mean, it's got to get over sooner than later, I would imagine. Yeah, for sure.
We're just lucky it's not the Spanish flu. Then all the CrossFitters would be dead. For those of you who don't know, the Spanish flu went after, like, the stronger your immune system, the more, like, it attacks yourself. Something like that.
Oh, really? I had no idea. All right.
So all, like, the young guys who are, like, super fit, they all died.
Oh, wow. All right. Man.
What is your simple passive cash flow number that you're shooting for these days? What is that for you? Well, something per month.
Per month, you know what? It's like what we did, my wife and I, we basically cut our expenses early on anyway. We cut all of our expenses so we can just focus on building the business. So part of it is the sacrifice. And you got to keep in mind, I'm the guy that had the corporate America job making bank. I had the huge house with the granite countertops and cathedral ceilings. I had 3 cars. I had a Corvette. I had a Hummer. I had Mustang convertibles. I had all this stuff, right? Got rid of it all to focus on building the business, right? So back then it was only like 10 grand a month. It cut out everything. Everything was cut out, right? So it really wasn't that much. And, and any money that we get is all thrown back into the business over and above that number. That's basically how we did it. That's pretty much it. It's not a big number when you think about it, because by the time you think about it, the government's going to steal half of it, right? Taxes, and then you have to live off the rest, cover your expenses. So not much, not much at all.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like equity that you kind of roll into the next one and the next one.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, what does your wife say when you kind of just say, "Hey, it's gonna work. Just give me 4 to 6 years. The magic will happen. You'll see it, or your life will start to change." Is that kind of a daily discussion or?
No. I'm very, very, very lucky that my wife, I met her before really I got into all this stuff, like as like on a full-time gig, the way I'm doing it now. So she knows me, she knows the story, she knows my personality, and she often tells me, she goes, I have no doubt, I have 100% certainty that you are going to do exactly what you say you're going to do. She has zero doubt. She believes in me 100%. She's on board. So I am extraordinarily lucky that my wife is on board. She believes in me. She believes in what we're doing. She sees it already. I mean, it isn't like it's all like, pipe dream stuff. I tell her I'm closing this deal on this day. Boom, it happens. She's not even surprised anymore. She quit being surprised a long time ago, right? But yeah, it's having a spouse, especially in this business, that will support you is extraordinarily hard. It's because I mean, my friends that are in this business that are like top performers, that's one common trait, is that their spouse at home supports them 100%. I'm happy to say that my spouse is in the same boat. It's awesome. It really is. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I have the reluctant spouse guide on my website, guys. SimplePassiveCashflow.com/spouse. It's not a joke. It's for real.
No, I know it's real. No, I get it. Yeah.
What do you guys do when you close a big deal? Anything special? Is there some kind of
sushi, man? Sushi. That's it. Just sushi. It's like a little celebratory thing. When my other partner comes into town, it's usually vegan food. He's a vegan. I'm vegetarian, so it works out great. And that's our little celebratory thing. That's. But yeah, with the wife anyway. Yeah, we always celebrate something, and we celebrate in a very small way. It's sushi, something very small. We don't for right now, for the time being. We are very, very careful with how we spend money, not necessarily invest. We do invest our money, but how we spend our money on things like that, we're very, very careful with how we do things. We're not reckless or careless or anything else like that. It's very important that we spend money where it needs to be spent properly. For us anyway, it's how we do it. Yeah. That's how we do it.
That said, what is something you recently bought or thinking about burning your cash on? For time savings or improvement of quality of life?
Well, you know what? Doing this stuff is a real big deal for us. It's like we have the Bulletproof Cahsflow podcast that we do, right? And I upgraded the camera. I got a new camera coming in. It was like $200.
Oh, dude, crazy, is that the Logitech one?
But if anything, it's going to help get our word out there. No. It's actually it's a used camera, man.
Oh, okay.
It's a used one. It's a used Canon T3i.
Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna hook that up, and we have a whole bunch of new equipment coming in just to really improve the audio and video, right? But like I said, yeah, we're just very, very careful with how we invest. Not only do we invest our money outside properly, other people's money, we invest our own money very carefully as well.
Yeah, it's funny because those Logitech guys, they barely send out emails, but they sent out this like new 4K camera.
Yeah, the Brio. Yeah, I saw
the Brio. I bought it. Well, not the Brio. The Brio's for the Windows one, but this one's for the Mac. It's like
okay. So that one is I don't want to geek out in front of your audience, but yeah, the Brio is supposed to be a really good camera. It's a 4K camera, I believe.
Yeah, so people can see like the crusties I have in my eye for waking up super early. Maybe that's not the best thing.
That's right. You want to zoom in and check you out. There we go.
Yeah, not too close. But yeah, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can check that out.
Yeah. There you go.
Something that you recently changed your mind on, because often ego gets in the way of greatness. And I see a lot of people, they just have some messed up thoughts. And I'm like, All right. Okay. Sounds good, dude. You know?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's recent, but I'll say that it's something that changed my life when I realized it. So back when I was an executive at working as a CIO, I thought that all it took was for me to do a good job and keep the technology up and running. And if I do that, I'll get paid and everybody will be happy. Systems are up, I'm innovating, everybody's getting paid. What can go wrong, right? And then they hand me the box, right? At the end of it all. That was wrong. That's incorrect. Totally wrong. The way that it's supposed to be, then the one thing I did not do is I did not network with the people that worked at the company. I pretty much kept to myself. I got there early, worked my ass off, stayed there till late. I was putting in 12, 13 hours a day at this company, right? And I was working hard for them. That's what I was supposed to do, right? And I still got handed the box. Now, and meanwhile, there's guys there that are still working at the company that were known to be somewhat of questionable character. They're still working there. Why? They took the time to network with the other executives, and they went to all the meetings. They went to all of the conferences and things like that to get really engaged with the community of the business, and also the community outside of the business that really connects with other people in that space. Like in that case, it was finance, right? So other people in the finance world knew of the company and knew of that individual, made them worth more money, right? It's kind of like the same thing that we do, Lane. It's the same thing. I mean, we got to do the same thing. We're getting out there. We're building our personal brands. We're getting out there. We're building our businesses. It's the same sort of thing. You can't come out of nowhere and expect to buy a 200-unit property if nobody knows who you are and what you're about. It takes time to build that. It takes time. So but anyway, I was totally wrong about that. Now this business is all about partnerships. This business is all about delivering value to other people in a way that you're giving someone everything you can. You're giving your partners everything you can. Everything. And that's how I operate anyway. I do everything I can for my partners to try to make things easy for them, knowing that in one way, shape, or form, it's all going to come back. That's how I do business. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can see it in your investors, right? Like I know like a lot of my guys are engineers, so it's the typical person is if they're under $1 million net worth, they've kind of saved their way up to that, like 700, 800,000, and they're a total like developer type or person in their cubicle, not really expanding outwards. Where the guys who are $1.5 million, $2 million net worth and above, obviously they're already investing, but they're the ones, they got out of the engineering role and more into the sales engineering role. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Well, hey, listen, you can never, ever, ever save your way to prosperity. It has never worked. It never will work. The only way you can be wealthy is to invest. That's the only way. It's the only way to make it happen.
It's just kind of interesting that it's kind of coupled where the guy who has that mindset where I'm just going to keep pounding away at what I'm doing, not talking to anybody, is also the guy not investing their stuff outside of Wall Street type of instruments.
That's right. That's 100% true. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm working away.
Invest in my 401k and everything.
Put it in a 401k. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I was doing all that stuff, too. I was putting all my money in this 401k thing. I was doing everything that I was told to do. I went to school. I got 2 master's degrees. I was a good CIO. I went to corporate America, and then they handed me the box. I'm like, well, wait a second. I did everything I was supposed to do, wasn't I? No, I was not. That's why I was saying, man, I'll never go to that place ever again, man. It's not happening. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And it's likewise with doctors, right? Like most doctors who aren't investing, their net worth would really never get above $1 to $2 million.
Right.
But the guys who are, holy crap, they're like $4.5, $10 million.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
night and day.
My one partner, she's a young doctor, and she's a partner on one of my deals, and she's been able to blow up her net worth tremendously, not just on that deal, but she has the mindset that you had just said. She's investing in other deals as well, right, to help grow her net worth. She's going to be very, very successful. She's in her early 30s. She's making great money already as a doctor, and she's blowing up her net worth even more. So yeah, she's doing great. But it's the same thing, she's focused on putting money aside,
So in this seller's market, and we're kind of in the middle of a crisis, and I'm sure it will go away here in the next few months or whatnot. What should people be focusing on investing in?
Oh, wow. The stock market is where it's at, man.
I thought you were kind of serious because people will say that. And I'm like, all right, man.
It's ridiculous, man. I don't get it. And I used to do that, as a young kid when I didn't know any better about real estate or anything else like that. I would sit in my office, and when the boss wasn't looking, try to do some day trading and all this other nonsense. Man, that's ridiculous. It's crazy. I mean, think of it like this, right? So I had a friend of mine. He was gonna throw like $200,000 at some stock or something, and I'm like, why don't you throw down on a deal, man? Throw down on a deal. He's like, oh, I don't understand the real estate business, yada yada yada. I said, I'll put it to you this way. All right, it is at that time it was May the 1st, right? I said May 1st, great. What's your stock going to be worth on May 30th? He's like, well, I don't know. I said, I can tell you how much money is going to come in on May 30th from my rentals. I know because I have legal contracts called leases with all my tenants that say they're going to pay me every month. That money comes in, right? It's predictable. You're building up equity in a cash flowing asset. You could force appreciation on this asset. Then you also get depreciation on the asset too. I mean, you can't do that with a stock. You just can't do that. I mean, I told my buddy this too. It's like, you go to Bank of America right now, see if they'll give you a loan to go buy their stock. No one even do that because they don't even believe in their own company enough. It's crazy. It's crazy. But to me, it's like gambling. It's like gambling at a casino. Because you don't know for sure what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Whereas with real estate, even during this crisis right now, I mean, we're still buying. I mean, I'm looking at assets now. And the thing is, though, is that at the end of this crisis, it's not going to matter. The asset's still going to be there. It's still going to throw off cash flow. And we know what it's going to do because it's very predictable. People, no matter what you do in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everyone needs a place to live, no matter what. They don't need an office. They don't need a piece of paper that says stock on it. What they do need is a home, right? And that's what we do. We give people homes. And this is, that's why it's like, and especially the kind of stuff that we're doing, it makes total sense to do it. We're not worried about it. That's what they should be investing in. People need to be investing in real estate. They should have been investing in real estate all along.
I mean, obviously you kind of know, you can put it on a model and you can kind of tell from deal to deal, but for somebody sitting at home who doesn't have a network nor has any kind of underwriting experience, anything that they should kind of stay away from in the world of real estate at this time?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, D-class assets, those are probably the ones that are pushed the most all over the place. I mean, especially not to bash on LoopNet, but LoopNet unfortunately has a lot of this bad inventory. And what I mean by that is there's the promise of the super high cap rate. I'll give you a 15% cap rate. Oh my God, the cap rate. The cap rate doesn't really matter all that much. It's not the cap rate. It's the margin you're looking for, right? The cost of money versus the cost of running the asset. What's the difference? That's what you're looking for. Cap rate is important. I'm not saying it's not important, right? But what I am saying is that people are getting out there pushing these super high cap rates. And when that person goes and buys that deal, which is usually in a D-class area, they get burned. And now they're stuck with a non-performing asset because everybody was just heads on beds. The previous owner, or the seller rather, just put a whole bunch of people in there drive the occupancy up, unload the property, and got rid of them all. Happens a lot, especially in D-class assets. It's a very seedy type of business. Stay away from those places. Just don't do those. Just especially if you're out of state, don't do that. I personally stay away from it. Some people specialize in that stuff. All the power to you. Go ahead and do that. For anyone that's in this business, even as a limited partner, stay away from D-class assets. Invest with a good operator that knows what they're doing with C's and B's and A's, that knows how to run a proper asset and make sure that it performs. That's the best way to build great wealth and still enjoy all the benefits that come with managing and running a multifamily asset. I mean, for a passive investor in that way, it works out super. They get the benefits without taking on any of the risk. Really, it's very low risk. It's very low risk for an LP.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at getting away from the Class C stuff, which is probably what you're talking about. You know, like you're saying you're Class D, but for me it might be a Class C, or definitely what a broker would call that, Class D or Class C, because they're always trying to make it sound better than it really is. But just not worth it. I mean, those are the guys who get hammered the most in any kind of weakness. I mean, they get fired first, and they don't have any savings too.
That's right. They live hand to mouth. They typically have salaries that are hovering, usually at $30,000, probably even less than that. Absolute poverty. You stay away from those places. It's just not worth the hassle. Never buy cheap real estate. There's a reason why it's cheap. It's not. It's nothing that you really want to be investing in. You just don't want to be investing in stuff like that. It's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the risk. It just isn't. It just isn't worth it.
All right. And to wrap things up, the last closeout question is the Tony Robbins question of the art of fulfillment and the science of achievement. So first, what is your secret or hack to the science of achievement? Any kind of rituals or things that you found lately that has helped you be more productive, get things done?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, getting up early in the morning, going to CrossFit first thing, early, you're waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to CrossFit for 6. And then by the time you come home, the world is still pretty much asleep at that point, or at least I'm not on the phone anyway. I sit down, I write out my journal, and then I write out my goals. Right, I write just one page of the journal, one page of the goals. How did yesterday go, and how's my tomorrow going to be, right? And when I say tomorrow, I don't mean just daily goals. I'm saying what is my life going to look like? And I write these goals as it's already happened, right? And that's important because I'm programming my subconscious to look for those things to build success, and I often do that too. If the day doesn't go my way, I'm writing in my journal, I'm writing in my goal sheets, I'm preparing a new one, just to keep me on target. But that's that in itself, that function, working out my body and then working out my mind, and then I'm ready for the day. That has made all the difference in the world. That has changed my life. Those two things, it's. And I'm sure you hear about it. Everyone talks about it on these podcasts, maybe, or read about it in books, and you might think it's all foo-foo nonsense. I promise you, that stuff, it works 100%. It's amazing. It's a life changer, absolute life changer.
And what is your secret or hack to the art of fulfillment? Any way you contribute back, or how do you kind of keep things in perspective?
Wow, so one of the things that I wanted to do in my journal that I write about is I do want to help the children of Cleveland, right? So in December, and I actually wrote it down in my goal sheet, what I plan on doing charity wise to much like what it's funny you brought up Tony Robbins, how he started his charity, Thanksgiving charity, right? I want to do the same sort of thing. So what I'm doing is, and I write it down in my goal sheet, I write it down. I want to help these kids. So part of what I'm doing is, of course, for building wealth for myself, building wealth for my family, my investors, I'm setting aside resources so I can do just that. I'm not in a place where I can do it yet, but it's going to happen hopefully this year. Right. And with that in mind, that's how it gives me something to work for, it gives me something to look forward to as well. Because I do get joy just by helping some other people, and I'm not expecting anything back. That's how I do things. I just don't expect anything back. I just want to give as much as I can, and and hopefully help out these people and make a difference in someone's world. That's that in itself means a lot. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it.
Awesome. Yeah. So something I'm trying to do on my side is trying to get more involved in Donors Choose. If you've heard of that website, you can kind of donate to teachers who have like elementary or high school projects. And I'm going to get ready to launch that to my group, but I want control over what projects we give to, more financial education type, as opposed to like interpretive dance or building a canoe kind of a project. I want to have control,
Man, I tell you, no, I love it, because that's exactly what I want to do with these kids, and here in Cleveland, is that it's probably the same journey that you've been on, same one that I've been on. You know what, Lane? You go to school, you get a job, and that's it. You go put your money in a 401k, you get old and you die, and that's how you're going to be, and you're expected to be happy that way. That is not a way to live a life to your full potential, in my opinion. I mean, that's not my full potential anyway. And throughout all that, the one thing that we're not taught in school, in grade school, high school, college, is wealth building. We're not taught that. We're not taught that. At least I wasn't. I had to learn it on my own. I had to learn it afterwards with mentors. And that's huge. I love that idea, man. It's a great idea. Tied into some sort of mentorship program, maybe, or some way to really introduce finance and financial intelligence to some of these kids would just be awesome. No, it's remarkable. Interpretive dance is not going to get you a job. Just won't. Well, a different kind of job, but not the job you want.
Yeah, making pot.
Right.
Pots. Yeah, pots.
Pots.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to get your contact information. People want to get a hold of you, and we'll put this all in the show notes. If you guys go to SimplePassiveCashflow.com.
Absolutely. No, if they message me at info@Bulletproof Cashflow, you can find me on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Friend me on LinkedIn too, and of course on Facebook as well. Follow me on Instagram. We're all over the place. Just Google Bulletproof Cashflow. You'll find me.
All right, man. Well, I guess I'll probably see you shooting emails out to me and screwing around in the Dropbox when I'm still up at night and you're getting going in the day. Now I know what you're doing.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much.
This website offers very general information concerning real estate for investment purposes. Every investor's situation is unique. Always seek the services of licensed third-party appraisers and inspectors to verify the value and condition of any property you intend to purchase. Use the services of professional title and escrow companies and licensed tax, investment, and or legal advisor before relying on any information contained herein. Information is not guaranteed, as in every investment there is risk. The content found here is just my opinion, and things change, and I reserve the right to change my mind. Above all else, do your own analysis and think for yourself, because in the end, you are the only person who is going to look out for your best interests.